everybody. My name's Susan Davis, and I am the owner of Fresh Designs Florist in Philadelphia. I've been an event designer for over 30 years. We also do the Design Sanctuary Workshop, and we have flowersoul.com. So we're busy here in our studio, even though we're all going through some crazy times right now. We're still finding ourselves creating beautiful installations for micro weddings. So people are coming in and maybe they're just getting a couple of centerpieces and maybe just one bouquet, but they still want those really beautiful installations. And so it's the time to get yourself all ready and excited to learn. So today I'm going to go through all of the mechanics that it takes to do a ceiling installation. Most of our mechanics are done right here in our small studio space, only 700 square feet. We create most of our installation pieces a la carte and then bring them on site and kind of put it all together and then add finishing touches there. The reason for that is we do not like to have too much work to do on site. It just feels like a lot of stress. So whatever I can get done here in the studio, I will do here in the studio. It's kind of a joke in our shop because people will be like, we can do that on site. I'm like, no, we're not doing that on site. If we can do it here, we're gonna do it here. So I'm going to show you a couple of ways to do this. You can do it foam free, or you can do it with foam. A lot of times on our bigger installations, we will use Oasis cages for that. But in this case, I'm going to teach you kind of both ways you can go. So the things that you're going to need for your actual installation are, you're going to make a panel. Okay, so I have 6 of these and I use these all of the time. These are made with 1x1s, okay, so right here is a 1x1. I'll bring it up a little bit closer, I'll show you sideways. It's just a 1x1, and then we did a little L bracket in here, in the back, right here. We have an L bracket, just like that, and then we attached a 3-foot, 2 6-foot 1x1s, and 2 3-foot 1x1s, which I have in your materials, so I'll show you what you need. So we basically connected these, we painted them green so that they kind of go away. You can paint them black as well, that helps. And then we just stapled chicken wire to this. So just so you know, if you do not have you don't want to make this, a couple of ideas. You really just need a grid and a panel. And the reason I like this panel the most is because this panel is lightweight. But you could get a screen door, like go to Craigslist and find some screen doors that are old and beat up. As long as the frame is solid, you can add your chicken wire to that. We just want a lightweight frame. So what we have technically then is a rectangle, and I have 6 of these. So if you guys go to your materials, and I'm gonna show you a picture right now, but if you go to this image that I'm showing you, you'll see that what we did is we basically staggered these panels in a snake formation on top of this greenhouse called the Philadelphia Horticulture Center, where we do a lot of weddings. So basically what we did is, rather than making a flat installation straight across, we went from one beam to another beam, okay, and we did it like this versus just going like this, which would have been fine. But what we did is we used one that was a little further and one was a little further back, okay? And then our goal was to take these squares and start to place them in a snake formation. Now we attached them so that it looks like one piece. But what I wanted to do was make sure that this installation had not just beautiful flowers, but that it also had interest, so that it felt like there was a lot of movement. So the first way I did that was, rather than go straight across, I created across the dance floor in an angle, okay, which always seems to, it gives you this little bit of foreground and this background, which is always important when you're doing any sort of floral design, to make sure that you're including depth and movement, whether it's a bouquet, whether it's a centerpiece, no matter what it is. So in this case, because I wanted depth and movement in my large scale installation, I start with the design by going from back here forward, so that's already giving me foreground and background. Then when I start to place my pieces up onto the ceiling, I did one high, I do one a little bit lower coming forward, okay? One a little bit in between, maybe one very far down, and one up here, and then maybe go all the way up again. Or come further down, it doesn't matter. So basically I staggered them in an angle like that across. I angled them in their way that they snaked across, and I also angled them in height. And then from there, after the entire installation was done, I just hung some wicker lanterns, and that really added that immersive feeling when you're dancing. So I always shoot for going to the dance floor to do my installation work, because I feel like your guests are going to remember that the most. So if the budget says, hey, we have budget for one big installation, let's shoot for the dance floor, because your guests are really who the party is for, right? All right, so how did I do this? So I build these frames out, or you can use, like I said, go get a screen door panel. It's the same thing. Make sure that it's soundly structured, and put your chicken wire, staple your chicken wire onto it. Spray it a neutral color. I use these for individual ceiling installations. So if I could do two together, it makes a big square, okay? Because it's 6 feet by 3. So if I attach them, I get a square. Or I can use it for one rectangle over, or 2 long rectangles over a head table. The ability to have flexibility with whatever I invest my money in is important to me. So this particular design was an ombre effect, and it was a lot of really bright colors. We used bright yellows, we used bright hot pinks, reds, and we kind of ombreed into this super, super bright color scheme, as you can see from the photos. So what I'm going to do is show you, basically, after we get our frame right here, we're going to green it up. So today, what I used to green it up, and just to kind of show you guys how I did it, is I started with this crepe myrtle, okay? Crepe myrtle is a greenery that I will use if it's summer and I have it available, but a lot of times my go-to green is not crepe myrtle, it's actually huckleberry. You could also use smilax, and I believe that in the recipe that I shared with you guys, we used smilax. So you can cover this whole thing with smilax. I don't connect it in any way except straight through. I weave these pieces, and I really like to break my line when I weave. So I'm going to go through here. I'm just going to go through. When I say break my line, what I mean is I want to exceed the frame, okay? So that it's not looking like it's a straight up rectangle, because that's not really my goal right now. So let me get this table out of the way. I'll bring this forward and just show you how we went about attaching the greenery in here. We're basically just taking it through, weaving it in all the way around until we've basically got all of our coverage of this. We're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. And the reason for that is that we want to, this will be the bottom, okay, and this will be the top. But you don't have to be as careful on the top, but you could layer sheets of sheet moss on the top, and then you could just sort of stick a few things out. But I think it's important that you create depth when you are creating a ceiling installation. So you don't want just a flat piece. You want to go up from it and down from it. So often I will go out and just cut huge branches, leaves, full leaves, and just like throw them on top so that I have full, like lots of depth. But in this case, I can just simply green the top with my crepe myrtle or my smilax. Often smilax will give you a lot of depth anyway, because when you put the smilax in, it feels like super deep, and that'll work really well too. So you can put like piles on the top. I suggest that you take at least 1 box of smilax per panel, which I know it's a lot. You don't have to use that, but it just kind of ensures that you have enough to get the depth that you really want. So once I've finished greening this, so it's all greened up from both sides, I'm going to show you how that panel, once that panel's done, okay, and I mean it's really covered with greenery. We finished covering it top to bottom. I'm going to take that one, I'm going to spray it with Crowning Glory or water, whatever you like. I'm going to put a plastic bag in between it. I'm going to lay the next panel right on top of that, okay? This way, I can take 6 panels, it's just this wide by 6 feet, and I can put them in my cooler or my cool bot or whatever it is that I need to store them in. I can do that on a Wednesday. I don't have to stress. If you use Smilax, you really do need to put plastic between because it will attach and pull. But I'd like to get all of that done. Now when I get there, I can just take those panels out and I can start to have them hung. So the question people ask me is, well, how do you hang things? Like, it's hard if the ceiling is really high. In our case, if the ceiling is low enough for us to reach by a ladder, for example, a barn that has beams, or at the horticulture center where we have low ceilings with lots and lots of metal structures to hang, I don't really need a rigging company. I can just take my ladders up there and start hanging myself, and I'm going to show you how we do that. If I don't have access by my ladder, and you can rent a lift too. I'm just not doing that anymore. I just prefer to go ahead and hire somebody to do it. I would call if it's a tent, I would call the tent company. If it's a ballroom, I would call the lighting company, or just look up rigging in your local area. And I contact them and tell them what I need to hang, how much is it to hang it, and I put that into the pricing for my ceiling installation, because then it takes all that worry out of like, how am I going to get it up there and all of that. But your mechanics need to be sound in order for either you to hang it or whoever you are using to hang it. So let me show you some of the mechanics that I will use. The one thing I love, and I keep these in my studio and lots of them, are these hooks, okay? These are, and you'll see these in your materials. I hung them already just so I can show you how I would actually hang these pieces up. But these hooks, they're chandelier hooks. There's 3 metal hooks, okay, just like this. And then they attach at the top. Actually, I can pull this one down just to show you. They attach, and I'll show you how I did it, so this way you guys can really see it. These you need. Okay, so the reason I love having these is because you can take these, say I have to do centerpieces, and they're all hanging chandeliers, like maybe over 8 tables. This is going to give us a really nice clean look, okay? Because I can put it under my wreath or my, my chandelier, hang it from one hook, and that way across the room it looks nice and neat. It also can be Smilax to cover this, okay? So if like the other day I had to do one of these ceiling installations in a tent. So I had the tent company run a cable from from pole to pole, okay? I used this really long, this hook. You can get these in all different heights, okay? I get mine at Terrain if you want to know where to get them. You can look online, or garden centers. I'll take this hook, okay, and I'll hook this side of that hook up over the cable, and then I'll take that and connect it here, just like that. So it actually gives me a good deal. This is giving me almost 8 feet of length, okay? So if my cable is still 8 feet higher than I want it to be, I can use this to kind of also give me an anchor point. Right, so I showed you how you're going to green your panels. You're going to do 6 panels just like that. Green them on both sides. Store them in the cooler. You can exceed your lines, but bring another extra amount of greens for each panel. And like I said, if you just want a simple recipe, I've already put it in there. You're going to go with 1 box of Smilax per piece, okay? So now how am I going to flour it? So basically what I want to do is make sure that I have some really large pieces pre-greened up and pre-designed in cages, in floral cages, that I can just kind of have all ready to go, and I'm going to actually just attach them right here onto the sides. You can actually sit these right inside the lip of this panel, okay? So they can literally just sit down right here on top once I get this hung. So if this is pre-made, I can sit it on the top. That's what I prefer to do, because if I sit it on the top like this, right into the lip, then I can sort of start to design forward like that. If you don't want to do that, you can just attach this through the holes in the back of the Oasis cage right to the frame. But you want to make sure that you're doing the exterior of the frame. Even though people are going to be dancing underneath of this, you want the edges done, okay? So when you look up at this piece, okay, from down below, if you're down under this or you're walking up to the side of it, you want this to go right here, okay? So now look how large it's going to start to become. All right, so you've got it all greened up, but then you're going to start attaching cages right to the side. Now in my studio, the way that I do this, because I already know that I have, this is 6 foot by 3. I have 6 foot by 3.5 foot tables, work tables. I also have 8 foot tables. But we'll actually just tape off that space. We'll go around the edge of the table with the cages, just like this. And we will then start to design them, and then we will label them and box them per panel. So they're already ready to go as well. So my flowers are done. My ceiling panels are done. So what do you do if you want to go foam free? I'm going to build out a cage for you in a minute, but I want to show you if you're foam free and you're like, I can't do all this. I mean, we're talking a monstrous ceiling installation. This would take you a couple days if you were going to have to, you know, stand on site and do this. So that's why I think it's so important to get done early. If you have a foam free policy in your shop, what I would do is, there's a company called Norman Smith Enterprises which sells big cages just like this, all right? They sell these cages. You're going to take your chicken wire, you're going to take a section of your chicken wire, and you're going to cut it up, cut the edges out till you get like, I don't know, it doesn't matter, just like a tube. You don't want too much, but you don't want not enough where you don't get a lock, okay? So I'm going to show you this little piece of chicken wire. You're going to roll it up, and you're actually going to put it inside of this cage, and you're going to shut it. So you might say, well, okay, that's great, but how am I going to get water into this later on? I'm going to show you. I will not leave you hanging. I will not leave you hanging. What you want to do is grab some of your low, not too deep flower boxes, okay? Like the ones that are almost like a tray, okay? And when you're doing a big installation like this, believe me, you've got plenty of flower boxes in your shop, so you're good. So what you're gonna do is take your chicken wire. You're gonna take your chicken wire and you're gonna roll it just like this. So see how I have it like a tube? I'm just gonna roll it, and I'm gonna leave plenty of space in between. You don't wanna roll it up against each other because you wanna make sure that you have lock space. So you're gonna roll it like that. You're gonna fold it like this. You're gonna fold it like this. You're gonna fold it like that. And then you're basically gonna smush it in here, okay? After you get that smushed into this, then you can just reconnect your cage. It's really important though, after you've reconnected your cage, all right, these are Oasis cages. And again, like I told you, I use Oasis on my big installs. If you're not comfortable with that, it's not your studio's policy, it's not the way you roll, then what you want to do is go ahead and try the chicken wire. Because this will give you the ability to get, if you figure for each 6 foot panel, we're probably doing about a dozen cages. And if I'm doing a dozen cages times 6 of those 6 foot panels, now we have a lot of cages. So, and then I'm also going to make an additional 20 or so, because in between these panels that I've hung, I've also stretched tubes of chicken wire. Because those tubes, excuse me, those tubes are going to enable me to add more floral in between so that it doesn't feel so, you know, blocked. So after I do this, I'm going to run a piece of wire through here and through to the back, or I'm going to take a zip tie through the top of this, and I'm going to lock that zip tie around the back of it. And the reason for that is because this will happily pop off, and we don't want that to happen. We want to make sure it's secure. Back to those boxes. You're going to take your flat flower boxes, you're going to fill them with plastic or large trash bags. You're going to put about that much water in them, okay? And then after we've designed right into this cage, you're going to put them into the box so the water will come up about this high, and then you're going to put them away. So, like I said, we need a dozen of these for every single one. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually design my cage on the tables, okay? And I'm going to show you how I would do it. Okay, so say you have your table here. Normally I would say just put this cage, let me get back a little, right on the edge of the table, okay? I do mine long ways. You could do it lengthwise. You've got this long stem. Normally I'll take mine from the back and I'll go through like this. All right, so I'm going to put this like this. and I'm going to start to design with the concept that I want to make sure that my flowers are deep inside and locked in, and also that they're in the bottom or getting into the base of this container. So I want to make sure that when I put them in, they're going into the base of the container. So what I did is I took some, in this case, because I'm trying to go with a really deep coral, bright coral look. I want to make sure that I took some of my Annabelle hydrangea and I spray painted it with coral and light pink, because this is going to give me a really good interior to my arrangement. And in my case, I didn't want to use tons of green in these cages because the color scheme that I'm using is really just a huge ombre from light to dark. So when I started my cages, what I'm going to do is for each panel, I'm going to do about 12 cages. And the first one is going to start probably in the darkest color palette. So I have these salmon roses. So I've stuck 3 of these in here. That's giving me good depth. I'm going to go right through that hydrangea into that chicken wire. Make sure that when you go into that chicken wire that you're going all the way to the bottom so that when you put it in the water, you've got it. You're not going to overly flower these. You're going to put in a certain number of blooms. I would say maybe 6 roses, like 3 pieces of hydrangea, and you can check the recipe that I've attached to this for each cage. But we want to start each panel. We want to make sure that we do 4 panels that are solid colors, okay? And then 2 panels that give us what I call the merge. So if the first one is burgundy, the whole first one is burgundy and red. The next one is going to be emerging. So it's going to give us a merge between those 2 panels. So it may go from burgundy red into some coral and red. And then it'll go coral. So my next one will be fully coral, okay? And then my next one will be my second merge, okay? So my next one might say go from coral to peach, okay? And then my next full one might be a solid peach. So you go on like that. So you see where we are here? I'm going to keep adding in these roses. I always reflect my roses as much as possible, okay? You don't have to do it completely, but get yourself a nice hardy rose, okay? Because you don't want a rose that you need to be stressing about. And when you're far away, you're looking for a volume more than you're looking for, you know, a super expensive flower, okay? So I'm starting to put these in. I'm going to cluster them, and I'm going to make sure that I put them at really different lengths, okay? So I might go really, really short all the way to really, really long coming out, and I'm going to cluster. So here is where I'm going with this. I'm going to add in one more piece of this coral PG hydrangea. I use hydrangea in my installation work as basically the interior a lot of times. So this isn't maybe your Dutch hydrangea, but see, I just want to show you as we get up here and we start to attach this, you're going to start to get these really beautiful, beautiful swaggy pieces. Let's add in some of this crepe myrtle. I love crepe myrtle. I grow crepe myrtle all over my yard. But remember what I said about the green? Because this particular installation is not really a greened installation. I use it as a base, but I want it to be much more saturated with color. So I'm going to take this in, and I'm always thinking forward. So when I'm designing this, I'm not designing it straight on. I'm designing it so as when it leans up over top of this piece, this frame, okay, when it's coming out, it's really going to show the clients are going to see the face of it, okay, not underneath. Now to finish off this design, I did hang wicker lighting, which was really easy. You just basically get your single cords. I went to IKEA to get mine. They sell it everywhere. Always make sure that when you're working, you're getting some depth in here. So I hung those wicker lanterns, but I also went in and around the bottom when I was finished my installation, and because my panels are fully chicken wire, just like this, okay, I was able to hang some flowers directly down, and that always looks really pretty. See this? So you see how this is starting to go? I like it. This needs to come in. And this is in chicken wire, and look how locked in it is. This is not an Oasis cage, all right? And this can be sat right in. Now, if you want to use Oasis, like I said, I do use Oasis myself, and I like it a lot. So maybe now, say I was going to start to do a merge, and I did one panel that was all this color, but now I'm ready to get moving into a lighter tone. I might add one or two of these lighter peach colors into my half of my last cage, all right? So that my merge doesn't just look blocked. It actually looks like it's moving from one color to the next. So say I add like 3 of the peach just to kind of bring it, just to kind of start my merge, okay? So then this one would maybe be half. But you see how wide we go with this? I want to show you the interior of that mechanic. That's it, just like that. You could add sheet moss around this. That's another thing you could do, is add some really wet sheet moss into the bottom of this, and that'll hold water in there for when you do your install. But you have to make sure that it's not dripping all over the clients. But usually you have plenty of time between. So look, that's going to start working its way around the edge of that installation. And when we get there, we're going to have already put a zip tie through the back of this. So we're all ready then to just start zip tying these across before we hang them. You can hang this first and then zip tie it, or you can zip tie it after you hang your initial panels with the greens with the greens on them. Okay, so that's one. I'm going to start just showing you how this is going to pull this back so you can start to see how beautiful the edge of that installation is going to look. So I'm going to do another one. The next one I do, I'm just going to go ahead and do it straight up in Oasis. So let's say we were going to move now into a lighter tone. That was going to be our next movement. So we'll go here like this, and now we've got another cage. This one's done right in Oasis, so I'm going to go ahead but this needs to merge just a little bit better. But do you see how kind of random it is? So it's really you can just basically do one of these examples for the people in your studio, okay? You can make one piece for them to begin to create, and then they can do this, and then this is going to be what you attach to the top, and it's really full and really lush and really, really beautiful. All right, so you can keep going. So what I did is with this peachy hydrangea, I just did it in a little bit of light pink around the exterior. I'm going to pull the greenery off because I don't want it there. Okay, and I'm just going to make sure that everything looks like there's enough spacing in between it, but when you look inside, you know, you're moving straight into the next color tone. All right, so there you see, I'm going to go there. So this would be, say, for example, each one of these runs about a foot. So that's why, or actually like 1.5 feet. So you don't have to do the side edges as much. You might want to put the sides, that means this 3-foot part. You might want to kind of wait till you get there and decide whether you want to put them on the ends here or whether you want to use them in the snaking that runs in between each install. I also have some of this really pretty dark dried purple, so I could have gone from purple to pink to light peach if I wanted to. All right, let me show you another one. So say I decide now I'm going to keep going. I'm going to put another piece in right here, just like that. Another cage, okay, and then I might add a little bit more of the peach roses in there, just like that. You always want to try as hard as you can to get lots of depth. So see how long this stem is? You might not think to yourself, gee, I need to put a really long stem in, but you do, okay? When you do a ceiling installation, everything's just going to kind of go away on you. It's very, very deceiving how far away, you know, when you get something really far away, how it will start to kind of disappear on you. So another thing, this is just a mini mock, you know, piece, but honestly, this is how we do the whole thing, okay? So I'm going to show you on some imagery how it kind of looks, but I want to show you too, now see this burgundy, so this would be a way to go even darker all the way over here at this side. And this is what we did. And you could also, use a lot of dried flowers. You can dry hydrangea, and if you grow it, you can dry it, and you can reuse it over and over again to get your interior pieces done. But yeah, I'm gonna add in some of this dark burgundy. So I'm loving this. I think it's really beautiful. And honestly looks lush and full. And like I said, this can be done by pretty much anybody in your staff. They can do this. You just give them a sample of this cage, and then you just show them how to do it. And they've created these cages. You take your table, line them around, and now you know you have enough flowers. You don't have to worry about that. Bring a little bit of extra florals with you. And now let me show you how I would attach these. So I'm just gonna pull these off right now real quick. You saw how we made them. You saw what's happening on the interior. Okay, all of these stems are all the way into the bottom, so that when I go ahead and put this into water, I'm gonna add some sheet moss around here just to cover it. But I really don't need flowers in the back because it's gonna be way up over their heads, and this is what they're gonna be seeing coming down at them. Always design with depth, guys, okay? Always design with lots and lots of depth, because it makes a huge difference when you're doing your design work, to make sure that you've got things really farther than you would expect to put them, and really, really deeper than you plan to do it too. Flat is not your friend in floral design. All right. So this is your panel. And this is how it's shooting down over the top, okay? Just like this. Okay, so when you're working in your studio, you can actually lay these right on the table if you feel more comfortable and you'd like to know for sure that you have enough room to do what you want to do. There you go. And they really are a lot more manageable than what you'd think for doing such a huge installation, you know? So basically, there you go. That's the edge of your panel, okay? Now, this is how you're going to attach them. See the back? You're going to take them in like this, and you're going to attach them on the edges. That's an important state of attaching. Because if you decide to go, maybe like you can sit them on top, which I really like doing because there's a little lip, but say you just want to know for sure you're getting full use of your flowers, all you have to do is take that zip tie that you've already placed in the back of this, and you're going to put it through, right through it. So in this case, I didn't do that because I was teaching, but I'm going to do it now. So you could take your wire through the back or a zip tie or whatever you want so it goes straight through, okay? And you're going to take it in here, and you're going to attach it right to the edge. I always find it difficult to teach large-scale installation without having a big room to do it in, but the truth is that most of us don't have that kind of room to actually do design work. So this is much more realistic to how we would do this on site, you know? So this way you can start to see the way things look. Now say I get there and I go, well, you know, and you're gonna be looking at this from way up here, like that, okay? So we wanna always think about the fact, just like if you're doing a high centerpiece, that you wanna make sure that you're thinking about the fact that this guy is going to be done. I'm gonna come right over here on this edge, just so you can see what starts to happen, okay? And I can just sit this in here if I want to. That's what I like to do when I get there, because I like it when it's just kind of on the edge like that. I feel like it makes, you know, I know where it is and I know that it's what I wanted it to do, okay? Where did I put that other cage? Losing my mind, folks. Okay, I don't know where I put it, but I'm going to use this one. Okay. So, I'm going to take this right over this corner, okay? So I don't want as far away. And then I'm going to do another one. And I'm going to do another one in the deeper colors. you start to see the movement going here, and this is literally 3 cages, not tons and tons and tons of flowers, which is what I love about this particular style of design. It's not so many flowers that you can't, imagine doing it. And it also helps you with your recipes when you know that you're not having to go, so hard and long in trying to figure out, what you want to use. So you see when we're doing this ombre, we might add a little bit of this color into that color, okay? But it's going to start to move on. And then my next cage is going to be all dark pink, because this is going to be my mixed, the one that I would say that was mixed. So I'm going to take another cage and I'm going to put that one down here, okay? And like I said, you can make these, you're going to make these right in your studio, and you're going to actually attach them with zip ties, okay, as you go along. But this is the same mechanic you would use if you wanted to create a rectangular chandelier. It's the exact same mechanic over and over and over and over again. And it creates the most beautiful, moving, garden-style arrangements that you'll ever want to see. It's just so pretty. So see, I can even take this beautiful piece of crepe myrtle, and I can bring it up like this. And now I can think about my height, because I want to go higher so that when I'm down there, it's not just straight. So I might go very high on the left. And this is our style here at Fresh Designs. This is really how we do it. So even if the client said, oh, I'm not really that gardeny of a person, we're still going to encourage them to shoot with a lot of garden arrangements. And then even if they were really like, I don't want that, we would still have them do it. So you see how I took this piece and I just kind of wove it in? Now I'm really getting the garden effect that I want. I really want it to feel like florals are just growing and growing and growing and growing out of this, and like I said, it's not something you can't do in the studio, which is what I love. So you see how we're starting to move in almost into red over here on this side. And I'm bringing things really deep and really far out as well, okay? Because that's really important to be able to see a lot of variety, a lot of balance in your design. So there we see all this movement, and honestly, we do need just like a little bit of this pink hydrangea, maybe a little bit more of our crepe myrtle. And again, don't stress. Don't be like, oh my gosh, is that going to die? It's not going to die, because it's going to be far away. You don't have to do everything, like this is, this has, the way that this looks, it can tend to look a little bit kind of, maybe used, but You can't tell that from up over and inside of a deep installation. So I just want to show you that's one side of this panel. That was 4 cages. I would have you do 12 for each one. Now when I'm on site, I might say, okay, that 4, that looks good. There's still room for one more here at the other side. If I pull this down, you'll be able to see what I mean. So you see there's still an edge over here that needs to be finished, okay? But for the most part, this is what I'm looking for. I've already greened the underside. I can add in some high pieces so that when I get far away, it's really gonna look beautiful. And it's got lots of movement, some high, some low, some coming down, lots of depth, so there's things coming forward, things really deep. And then these cages, I'm just gonna take right off of here, put those into my boxes, put them on my shelves, label them, and then when we get on site, we can just start to put these things together. And if I had a rigging company, I could put it together and hand it to them, and they can put it up, and I can say, okay, I want it here or I want it there. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you feel like you learned something or other, and that you'd be able to start at least doing one panel and go ahead and offer this to your next client. Don't make them pay for it. If you're trying to get yourself on the map for doing installations, I think it's always smart to just kind of be like, you know what, I'm gonna just surprise my bride with one of these over the table, and then she'll be so surprised and so excited, and she'll feel so special because you actually did something for her that she could have never afforded to do. So, you know, that's a great way to sort of start out, is to do something just a little bit more than your clients are expecting from you. It's a great way to give them a surprise. So I'll let you guys take one last quick look at this. So you see it goes all the way from the one color to the next. And this is just one of our panels. Very easy, okay? So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you like it. And I'm going to make sure that you see what the end result is. Bye.